Hello, friends. It's John Clan third of episode 156 of Shadow and Flame of Magic. And we are going to review What If Volume 2, Issue 12. What if the X-Men had stayed in Asgard? So let's get into it. And if you want to follow along, I made two different TikTok videos. One where I narrate it, and then one where I just post the panels of all the Kitty Pride and Magic panels. So that's for you to follow along if you like. It's a new format I'm trying out to see. The video one helps as I can do my YouTube one and upload the same video. Which would be at Jackal SIII. And reviewing this issue because what if season three started? It looks like Storm shouldn't be in the first four issue episodes, but could be potentially in any of the last four. And she's clearly in her Asgard form, so I was like, well, I have that comic. Let's a go. And this comic came out in April 1990, and it is based off of the X-Men Annual 9 and New Mutant Special Edition 1, which I do feel like Special Edition New Mutants is first, right? But, they're the second title to Uncanny X-Men. And so Loki has tricked the New Mutants to come there because of the events of X-Men Alpha Flight, the first volume. And so he's trying to get his revenge on mutants, but he's not allowed to directly attack them. And so he needs to find other ways to do it. So pretty much he tricks them into coming to Asgard and then lets all the realms of Asgard attack them. And then at the end, he gives everyone a choice of, hey, because some people like it, some people don't like it. And so he makes them all vote, and the majority rules. And of course, the majority said no. And so they left. And this is storyteller is Jim Valentino of Image fame, inker Sam Della Rosa, letterer Phil Feliz, colorist Tom Vincent, editor Craig Anderson, and editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco. And so everyone's getting a chance to vote. Oh yeah, and we see this giant cast of X-Men and New Mutants together, and it's Storm, Magic, Sunspot, Doug, Cyclops, Kitty Pryde in this nice yellow outfit, Colossus, Wolfsbane, Danny, Rogue, Cannonball, Karma, Magma, who's an elf at the moment, Nightcrawler, Rachel, and Wolverine. And so everyone gets to vote. And this time we see that Sunspot wants to stay, Karma wants to go, Storm doesn't vote just yet. Wolverine wants to go, Doug wants to stay, Warlock stays? Yeah. Rogue wants to stay, Cannonball stays, Storm still doesn't want to vote. Kitty says, there's no place for me here. Let's go home. Colossus um goes. Nightcrawler wants to stay, Magma wants to stay. Magic stays, I am the new enchantress. I belong here. And Rachel will go home to her with her father, and the Storm says she will stay. And then Loki, trying to earn favor with those who sit above in shadow, decides that he will just let people who want to stay stay, and people who want to go go. And so then this panel, I'm just obsessed with the idea. Like if we had an X-Men Forever style of like we follow this team home, that'd be amazing. But it's the original five X-Men, Scott, Jean, Beast, Iceman, Angel. And then four more X-Men, Kitty, Rachel, Grey Pride, if you are so inclined, Wolverine, Colossus. And then from New Mutants, Karma and Magma. So that's 12 members of X-Men, which is a pretty decent roster. And so for this reality, Auto narrates. Loki allowed those eight X-Men to return to the planet of their birth, those to form a new team and a fate only slightly different from the one they knew in your world. For in this reality, the New Mutants no longer exist as a team for Magneto to train, and those who would have formed the team X Factor instead joined their erstwhile leader in a new, larger version of the X-Men while in Asgard. And so Inferno doesn't, I don't know, like Scott clearly still leaves Madeline for Jean, so Inferno will still happen, but maybe because Wolverine's on the team, like Inferno definitely plays out differently. Magic's Enchantress, so she's not going to be in like doing limbo nonsense as much. I imagine Sim just takes over Inferno, and then Narcine, um, I don't know, gets thwarted by Sim somehow, or Madeline comes around easier. But like Excalibur never happens. Like I'm sure Mutant Massacre does not happen, especially not that way. I mean, Nightcrawler doesn't get hurt. Rogue's not there for Kitty to take the blast, though Fantastic Four versus X-Men doesn't happen. Um, but also I imagine by the same token, these X-Men don't stay in Asgard for more than 3 years either, right? Before Asgard finally goes like, we're tired of mutants doing whatever they're gonna do. But for the next 3 years, I mean, but without Excalibur happening, without Mutant Massacre, the Marauders being the threat they are, like, you know, like it has long lasting implications, and I would love to see how that just plays out. You know, does Mirror Island still happen? I doubt it. You know, so Myra and the Shadow King's plot doesn't occur. But you know, but also at one point, you know, Jim Lee's X-Men like come back together or something, and so Magneto turns bad. You know, he probably never joins the Hellfire Club. Emma doesn't, you know, torment the New Mutants because they're not there. Um, yeah, so it's just like major ramifications if this team of 12 um just exists, like, and what a powerhouse they are. And so what's um Wolfsbane goes back to her wolf print. Doug just spends all his time in the library. Cannonball marries that one gal. Sunspot becomes a hero, as does Kurt. Rogue and Foundel hook up. Danny just loves being a Valkyrie. Magic found her bliss in the pursuit of long lost arcade knowledge. In all, their lot was far more joyful than it had been in their short lives. And then Storm is just the hero of Asgard. But meanwhile, Loki starts to, you know, work behind the scenes. Hela's annoyed and wants to get involved. And then, meanwhile, in the castle keep, which one belonged to the goddess Amora, and where now reigns a new enchantress, and magic comments aloud. So it is true, my feelings are right. An alliance has been formed this day, which may have dire consequences for the whole of Asgard. I must summon help from one of the few in the nine worlds I implicitly trust. And then we see Frog Thor, but it's actually Thor who is a man-sized frog, not the cool pet Avenger Throg. Um, and Loki's like, look at this demon, and Storm attacks Thor, who is a frog. And so they just keep battling, fight, 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 and Hela shows up. Sunspot tries to stop her, but she turns him to ash, which of course brings down everyone fights. Loki's was keeping Thor in the frog form because of a giant sword, and then that gets wrecked. So then Man Thor comes back, and so Hela's forces versus Asgard, and so everyone's fighting. So fight, fight, fight. Cannonball and his fifth army of dwarves shows up. So it's just epic battles. This one lady, Balder the Brave shows up and he's gonna fight the other brunette cow. Oh yeah, Carnella. who's not impressed with magic at all. And she's like, "Thou dost to pit thy puny magic against Carnilla, the greatest sorceress in the nine worlds." And Magic says, "My puny magics were enough to take out the Enchantress." Which I sort of love this dig of like, I shall have thy eyes for thy abundance. Brazen mortal, Amora was ever an overconfident fool. So it's like, dang, the lady you beat wasn't even that impressive. And then Balder shows up to try to calm her down. And now I'm trying to remember if this panel of magic getting attacked even made the post. I have to double check that. And I gotta also figure out what four panels I want um to promote the podcast with. Probably do the two kitty and the two magic to for balance. Well, it's saying that kitty's only in here three times, so the two to be the kitty team one, the two voting, and then two more. We'll figure it out. And then Hela gets defeated, and I couldn't tell in this panel if Magic's one of these gals. And I imagine she must be, but also none of them look dressed as her. And then Doug shows up, or Magic shows up with Doug. The armies stand in confusion. Cypher has read the lore, Danny Moonstar. Are you ready to perceive his pronouncement? But Danny already knows the situation. She is going to become the ruler of Hell with one L. Thor wants to keep rocking on Earth, so Storm will become the goddess of thunder. And so Thor sticks with the Avengers. Doug becomes Storm's advisor because she's now Queen of Asgard. Cannonball gets a kid. Kurt becomes one of the Warriors Three because Fando's gonna get married to Rogue. I'm reminded about the final proper What If issue where the characters never left Battle World and how Rogue and Captain America hooked up there. So she has a type. Canilla and Balder hook up. Wolfsbane's husband, Wolf Prince died, but they had baby, so that's cute. And then those ru- who sit above in shadow give Loki what he really wants, which is to rule Asgard. But mere minutes before Asgard falls into a black hole, and so it's just one of those rare what ifs where everyone ends up happier at the end, which is pretty nice. And the back cover ad is for Theracell double clear zip pads, which if you read comics at all during the late 80s, early 90s, like Claracell pretty much was the back of so many ads or comics, and then if they weren't on the back of a comic, they were definitely within the comic. And that, everyone, was What If Volume 2, Issue 12. It costs $1.25. And Canada was 175, and this was approved by Comics Code. Corner box is Autu with Storm and Thor. And then the cover, I should have said, was Storm versus Thor Frog. And then Spider-Man in the cover, bottom left corner. Oh, and this cost me $3, but I'm not sure where I would have bought this from. I don't think Mile High or my comic shop has it. Um, So it must have been in the back issue bin of someone. That's the problem. So let's see what comics came out last week. Um, oh yeah, Alligator Thor Holiday Special. I thought the Marvel Holiday Special proper was way better, but that's just because it had Kitty Pryde for 12 pages, and this had Lockheed reprint comics of Alligator Thor, where Lockheed showed up twice, and then Captain Kitty Pryde showed up in a couple more. So for the reprints, I definitely bought it, and that should be coming to me soonish. Um, Bloodhunters 5 with Dagger, final issue. I sort of got lost in it because I just read issue 5 and maybe one of the earlier issues, but just heroes win the day. Conquest 2099, I don't Spider-Man 29 was in a bunch, and maybe Cyclops was there. I sort of lost track of it all. So why even mention it? Hellverine 1, pretty legit opening. Um, Benjamin Percy on the writer, and then it's Cinco on art with Lim, and pretty much the Ghost Rider spirit, Spirit of Violence from what I saw an upcoming comic coming out. It's pretty much just directing Akihiro to, where crime is or injustice, and he's just a passenger, and he sort of wants control over it. No Aurora appearances, but I guess not necessary. It pretty much was a solid issue. I sort of dug it. Namor 5. Oh, spoilers for present or current comic books. Namor 5 does not have Stingray in it, so highly disappointing. And we're still getting his origins retold. So Stingray last seen in it in issue 3. So 2 issues now. Oh, Psylocke 2 was the best comic of the week for me. She met Shinobi Shaw, who was crucial to the whole plot of switching Betsy and Koan's bodies and minds and merging, that whole business. And she rescued some kids. She took them to Alaska where Beast was there, which I was like, dang it. If you're going to use one of the X-Men, use magic, right? Anyways, that would have been the choice I would have made. Sentinels 3 was actually pretty legit. Like it had some fun jokes in there. So, and oh, I once in my X-Men content is some levity. Like it's just like it's a franchise that gets so dark and in the weeds, and I get why it is. Like racism's not great, discrimination's not great, sexism, like all the discrimination. I did it, the umbrella of it all. Well, there were some jokes in there. Like, come on. I mean, maybe you don't have to be like X Factor levels of humor, but you can have a character make a joke. And one of the jokes was Dr. Warden Ellis learned one of the Sentinel names, and then every time she talks to a new one, just keeps calling them that name. So that was funny because I too am not learning their names to the point where I can't even tell you which name she picked. But one of them is having hallucinations and views her as Onslaught. And this is all leading up to how Magneto's on the cover, but this is like a Magneto who gets stuff done, as opposed to the Magneto who's in a chair in X-Men and just hovering around and not getting much done. So is it really Magneto? We don't know. But as soon as I saw Magneto was on the cover for issue 3, I would have sworn this would have been the final issue. Like Magneto shows up, finds cyborg humans with Sentinel pieces, and then just shuts them all down. You know, Series ended. Sorry, like we joked, it was all a ploy to say it was 5 issues. It was just 3. Um, and he does like he finds one of the Sentinels and then just like rips all the cybernetics off of them, and then like everyone's like, "Okay, we're done now." Like, yeah, you are. And so yeah, Sentinel 3 was pretty legit. Oh, and a surprise TVA 1 written by Blair, who's on TikTok. Um, so she seems fun. And Gambit's in it. He's in a world that, for whatever reason, Rogue's dead and he's super sad, which he would be super sad. And then Jimmy Hudson from the original Ultimate line, it's also one of the cast members with Spider-Gwen and um oh, Captain Peggy Carter and a bunch of the TVA cast. So it was a pretty legit thing. Like it feels like Exiles with some proper marketing behind it. And yeah, so I was surprised by. Oh, and Scar the Spider was a villain in it, so I was like, hey. But it's the Ben Riley Scar the Spider, so I was like, I love seeing that costume, so thanks. And the art was pretty great too with Perez and Lorez. So yeah, so I would have gone Psylocke 2, TVA 1, Sentinels 3, Hellverine 1, Alligator Loki Holiday Special for the Loki reprints, and Namor 5 and Bloodhunters 5, and Conquest 2995, I guess. Yeah. So let's see what comics come out the last week of December. Oh yeah, this is Christmas Eve. What a horrible introduction segue. Um, oh yeah, so leading the comic would be Exceptional X-Men 4, Enter the Iceman. I'm getting the cover, that's the Kitty Pryde Hanukkah cover, so I'm pretty excited about that. Um, Hellhunters 1, that looks like a flashback adventure with Bucky, Wolverine, a World War II Ghost Rider, Nick Fury, and two other people, probably Howling Commandos. Um, Spencer Ackerman's Iron Man 3 comes out, and I don't know, he's two for two for Emma appearances or references, so maybe we get a third one. Mystique 3, which I'm really loving that. Um, yeah, just the mystery of it all, and Shield being completely defunded, and how, but and then the issues of that, and Destiny working with Nick Fury Jr. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk number 1, which is by Frank Thierry, so it should be pretty violent. Um, Hard for me to get excited about Sabretooth. Uh, oh, Time Slide 1 with Cable and Bishop for people missing out on their time traveling mutants. West Coast Avengers 2 with Firestar and Spider Woman, Jessica Drew. And X-Men 9, which should also have magic content. And then I'm also going to be reviewing my final issue 42. I forget, I think it's Extreme X-Men 42. So that'd be the one I make the TikTok video about. Funny enough, Extreme X-Men 42, that final page is not anywhere online. If you find a picture of it online, it's probably the one I posted, where I had to scan my page. But well, I don't want to spoil what it is. Come back next week, everyone, as I discuss that. So we'll definitely be talking about Exceptional X-Men 4, X-Men 9 for that sweet magic content. And then Imagine Mystique 3, West Coast Avengers 2, Time Slide 1, Hellhunters 1. Heck, I'll put Iron Man 3, and then Sabretooth The Dead Don't Talk 1. I think that's all the X-Men content. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 X-Men titles in the year. And then I'll also probably officially post my comics on the top 10 comics of 29. Nope, not 2099. Ugh. Every time I think of 2099, I realize I'm never going to be old enough to see 2099, and that's a real bummer for me. Um, but hopefully you, dear listener, will see it, and I want that for you. Um, Hopefully I'd just be happy a Walker D lives to see 2099, which now my brain's doing the math, and that's 70 years from now. So he's 11 now, so he'd be 89. He could maybe see it. His children will see it. Um, I mean, not to put that pressure on him, but it'd be nice. I just want him to live forever, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind. I know this is controversial if you knew me during the 90s, but which if you do, hello Greg, thanks for listening. Um, I have I was going to say irrational fear of robots, but I saw this documentary as a young lad called Terminator, and ever since then, I just don't think we need very fancy advanced robots, or at least not ones that don't have giant red buttons on their back that a baby can turn right off. And so the controversial opinion be I wouldn't mind if my brain got put into a robot and then I just live forever. I think I would like that. I wouldn't want to be a head in a jar, Like I still want to be able to move about and touch stuff. Be able to still stream the things I want to stream. Have robot delicate hands where I can still read my comics. Um, be a real nuisance to my great grandchildren. And people will be like, why were you selected to be? I'm like, I don't know, because they were big fans of ShadowandFlameWithMagic.com, the preceding podcast that came from it. Um, Anyways, dear reader, so that's what's coming up next week. Um, and then I've already pulled my issue 43s, which feels like a lot. So we'll just do those as we chip away at the year. And well, I probably should save all that content for next week as we embrace 2025, everyone. And so, dear listener, thank you so much for listening. If you'll rate and subscribe, maybe tell a friend. I really appreciate you listening. And from the Spotify 2024 wrap up, it seems like we got a lot more listeners. I would love to get some viewers on both TikTok and YouTube. And I'm going to post some images on the podcast's socials, which would be, I don't know, Instagram keeps fighting me every time I try, but definitely on Blue Sky, SNFWM. And I don't know, I haven't quite shaken Twitter, especially as I have like a bigger audience there. So, um, socials there are the same, Jackal's SII or SNFWM. And I'll talk to you next time. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Bye.